Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System 22 and we're designandtechtips.com. We got a great one for you today. It's been requested. We got a little pop-up survey form. If I click on this button, take the survey, it's going to pop up this little survey form. They can fill it out, name, best email address, gender. If they select other, we got a bit of conditional logic going on. It's going to ask them how they identify. What's your highest level of education? Got a little drop down there. If they select high school, it's going to ask them if they're looking for further education. Do you rent or own your current residence? If they select rent, it's going to pop up, are you looking to buy a property? If they select own, of course it's not. What is your mode of transportation for commuting? Walking, car, bike, or public transport? And again, if they select public transport, we've got a bit of conditional logic. Are you looking for discount tickets? Of course, once they've filled it out, got a little capture there, they can do the sum and submit the survey. Got a little X here when they're done. They can X out. Really easy to do, so let's get started. I think I'm going to go to a different page. Let's go to the gallery page. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. I'm going to roll down and let's add a new section here between these two sections. Little blue button to add a new section. I'm going to make mine a regular section. In this section, we're just going to add the button that we're going to use to pop this up with. So I'm going to use a single column. I'm going to pop a button in there. For the time being, I'm just going to leave that like that. Let's make this section dark in color, perhaps. Always find background under content. I'm in the section here. I'm going to make it black. Don't want it quite as wide as that, so I'm going to take any padding away, top and bottom. Design. Spacing, you always find margin and padding under design in spacing. You put a 0 in there. It'll put the pixels in for you. Hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side. And let's just pop that button in the middle. Back into the button itself. Design, alignment. And we'll pop that in the middle. Great. Okay, that's the button we're going to use to pop up our form. Let's actually create the survey form now. And this was what somebody was asking. We did a kind of demo one in a previous video. Somebody wanted to see how we actually built that. So I'm going to add a new section for it. Again, I'm going to use a regular section. And the only thing in it is going to be our little form here. So let's add a single row with a single column. And we'll use a contact form. And by default, it puts in a name, an email, and a message. Let's get rid of the message, as this is a bit of a survey. So for the name, field ID is fine. The title, let's make it more of a question. What's your full name? Fantastic. And the email, field ID of email is fine. But we'll make it a question again. Great, let's add a new field. And I've got my questions over here. What's your date of birth? We'll use that for the title. And we'll just use date of birth for the ID. ID so you can identify this. And if I save this now, it goes back to the main contact form settings. There's the ID right there. Name, email, date of birth. And we'll add a new one. What's your gender? And again, now field options, I'm going to have this as a drop down, as a radio button, so they can select either or sort of thing. Well, I'm actually going to give it 3 because nowadays it's not quite so straightforward. So I'm going to use radio buttons, so they can only select one. And we'll say male. We'll add a new one, female. And we'll add another one. I'll just say other. Let's just say that. As you can see, it's building it over here. And if we go back, I'm going to add a new field now. And I'm going to ask them how they identify. And I only want this field to pop up if they select other. And they can put in however they identify, pronoun, whatever. Let's just put this ID in there. I think we'll just use identify. And let's perhaps spell U correctly. Now for this, we only want it to pop up, like I say, when they select other. So we'll use a bit of conditional logic here. I'm going to switch it to on or enable. We'll select the question above, which is what is your gender? There it is. And if it equals other, that's when I want this field to display. And we'll add a new little one and ask them about their education, perhaps. I guess we'll use that for the ID. And again, we'll give them some options here. So I'll go to field options. And again, I'm going to use radio boxes so they can only select one or the other sort of thing. And we'll say high school. And let's go university. Great. Now, if they just say high school, I want to ask them about if they're interested in further education. So I'm going to add another field. Are you looking for further education? ID, I'll just leave it short like that. And again, I'm going to use radio boxes on this. And it's going to be a simple yes. And you guessed it, or no. Great. Now again, I only want this to appear if they've selected high school. So again, I'm going to turn on the conditional logic just below, enable it. Select the question above, what's the highest level of education? There it is. And if it equals high school, great, this will pop up. Save that back to the main contact form settings. And we're going to ask them about their accommodation now. I'm going to say, do you rent or own your current residence? Do you rent or own your current residence? And we'll use that for the ID. And again, this wants to be a little radio button so they can select either or. So I'm going to use a radio button. We'll say rent or own. And again, we want to try and sell them a mortgage or something. So if they select rent, we want to ask them another question. So I'm sure you know how to do that by now. We're going to add a new field. I'm going to call it, are you looking to buy a property? And this is going to pop up if they hit the rent. So again, I'm going to go down to field options. Once more, I'm going to use a radio button again. Great for surveys. And it's going to be a simple yes or no. And again, I only want this one to pop up if they've selected rent there. So conditional logic, enable, go to the question above, do you rent or own? Or the other way around actually. And equals rent, that's fine. And these are great conditional logics. I didn't explain this before. You can have it as does not equal, is greater than, is less than, contains, does not contain, is empty, is not empty. So you can set it up to do all kind of things. I'm keeping this pretty simple today, but I just wanted to explain using a bit of conditional logic on your form also. So we're happy with that. And I've got one more question. I'm going to add a new field. And it's about their transportation. What's your mode of transportation for commuting? I'll make commuting. Field options. Let's use a drop down just for a change for this one. Select a drop down. And we're going to say walking. Bike. Car. And let's say public transport. We'll save that. If I roll down, you can see we've got an actual drop down here with an arrow they can drop down. And we'll save that, go back to the main settings. And if they select public transport, we'll try and sell them some tickets. So I'm going to add a new field. Are you looking to get discount tickets? And again, we'll just use a little radio button or a yes or no answer. And again, we will only want this to pop up if they select public transport above there. So conditional logic, enable, field above equals public transport. Fantastic. Okay, well, we've got all our fields that I want there anyway. Obviously, you build yours however you want. Once you've got the fields, you can give your form a title if you want, which will appear at the top there. And while I've got a 4 in there, that's not really what I want. Success message is what's going to pop up once they hit their submit button. And here you can say what you want your submit button to say. By default, it just says submit there. Let's say submit survey. There we go. And the important part here is the email address you want this survey to be sent to. You want to put in here. So that's your email, where it is you want yours to be sent. Now you can use a redirect so that once they submit, you can redirect them to wherever you want to here by switching this on. I really don't want that. I'm happy for it to stay right on this page and have it just pop up and say what we've put up here. Survey has been sent. Spam protection. That's our little sum right there. You can turn it off if you want to. And you can use a third-party one such as Google Recapture, but you'll need an API key for that. Don't want a link. I'm not going to put any background in here. Design-wise, I think the only things I want to change is perhaps the color of that button and where the title is. So let's go over to design, title text. I roll back up so you can see it. I'm just going to pop that in the middle. I want it a little bit further away from the content, so I'm going to put the line height up a little bit, give it a bit more breathing space. That's fine. And the only other thing I wanted to do was the little submit button. Let's just change the coloring on that a little bit. Still in design, if we roll down, we've got the button. Use custom styles for button. I'm going to make the text color white, and I'm going to give it a dark background. Let's use my 2424 gray. Fantastic. Okay, well, we've got our little survey form now. And we've got it in a section here. Now, I'm going to do something now that's really important. In our section, the blue tab, I'm going to go over to design. Well, first, actually, I'm going to give it a slightly different background as well, just to make it a little bit more interesting. What about that one? That'll work. I'm going to go now over to design. I'm going to give it a fixed height. And the reason I'm doing this is because on desktop it's fine, but on tablet and mobile, you're going to want to scroll this thing when it pops up because it's going to be bigger than the screen. So I need to be in sizing, not spacing, talking. Got the wrong one there. I'm going to go to height. I'm going to make mine 100 viewable height, VH, 100 VH, which is the 100% of viewable height of any screen that they're looking at it on. Now it's got a fixed height. I can go over to advanced, down to visibility, and vertical overflow. I can change this to scroll, and you'll notice a little bar pop up on this side here when I do that. That way, when it pops up on smaller devices that it doesn't fit on the screen, they can scroll down and finish off the survey. Great. Well, we're all good to go with our survey, and we've got our button. So how are we going to make this form pop up from this button? And if you watch any of my previous videos, you're going to know this. I'm going to go over to Elegant Themes, and they've actually provided some code for us right here about opening a lightbox in Divi. If we scroll a little bit down the page, about halfway, you'll find some CSS code here. We want to copy it, If you want to, you can put it in a code module on the page itself. But if you want to use it site-wide, I'd suggest you go to your dashboard, down to Divi, down to Theme Options. That'll take you to this page, General tab. Down at the bottom, you'll find the custom CSS panel. You want to paste it in there. I've already got mine in there, so I'm not going to paste it. Just scoot that down a little bit. And here's mine right here. Starts right there. Once you've pasted it in there, just make sure you save your changes until you've got a little check mark like that. And it's a good idea to read this content on this page. It's got some great stuff on there. Just down below the CSS, you'll find a bit of JavaScript. We need to copy that from the opening script tag to the closing script tag. Make sure you get all of it. Control-C to copy. We're going to go back to where we were in Divi under the General tab. We're going to go over to Integration. And where it says Add the code to the head of the blog, we can paste it in here. And if you've got something in there, you can just scoot whatever you've got in there down, put it on top, or you can go below it and put it in there. I've already got mine in here. So once you've pasted it in there, Control-V to paste. Make sure, again, you hit your save changes. Great. Now, if we look at this page, it'll tell us up here that the button that we want to use to pop up this form needs to have a class name of ETLB button 1. Or if you've got more than one of these on the page, you just increment up that number. So you can have 5 pop-ups on the page, and just make sure you call each button a separate one, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the end there. And the content that it wants to pop up needs to be called ELB content. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, however many you've got going on your page. So let's just copy this class name. This is for the content. This is going to make it disappear and then enable us to pop it up with a button. So this is for the actual form itself, or the section that the form's in. So if we go back to our page, here's our form, here's the section it's in. We've got to give it this class name. Over in Advanced, you'll find CSS IDs and classes. It's a class name, so make sure you put it in class, not ID. And I'm not sure if I've got any other pop-ups on this page, because I've had this on here for a while and we've demoed this sort of thing before. So let's maybe call it Popup 5. If you don't have any, you can leave it as 1. Now here's the button we want to use to pop this up. Let's just change the text to the button to take the survey. Now you'll notice I'm not putting a link in here. I'm not going to put anything in there at all. I'm just going to go over to the Advanced, to the CSS IDs and classes, just like we did with the section below. And if we look back over here, like I was saying before, we need to give the button the ID of ELB button, whatever number you're using. And so I'm going to copy that, Control-C, we'll go back, put it in the class again, and it's got to be the same number on the end as our pop-up content. I used a 5 for that, so I'll use a 5 for this, just in case I've got other pop-ups on this page, I can't remember. And we should be good to go. So let's save our changes here. And we'll exit the Visual Builder. Roll on down to where we were working. And the first thing you'll notice is that survey form's not there. It's hidden, which is great. We just got our little button here. And when I click on this button, it's going to pop up our little survey right here. And this all fits on the page here, so that's okay. They can fill it out to their heart's content. Now let's see, we did a bit of conditional logic with other. If I click on that, another field should appear asking how they identify and what's the highest level of education. If they select high school, we want to try and select a degree. So are you looking for further education? Yes or no? Do you rent or own your current residence? And if they select rent, it's going to ask them if they're looking to buy, and you sell them a mortgage or whatever. If they select own, nothing's going to pop up there. Down below that, we've got what is your mode of transportation for commuting? And we've got walking, bike, car, or public transport. Now, from memory, if they select public transport, it's going to ask them if they want to buy tickets. There it is. Are you looking for discount tickets? If they select anything else, that's not going to be there. And when they're done, they can submit the survey. Now, like I say, this pretty much fits on this page. As you can see, we're scrolling up and down a little bit, but on a mobile device, you're going to have to scroll. So that's why we set the height of the section itself to a fixed height and enable the scroll. If I hit my F12 key, I'm using Google Chrome with the inspector tools here. Here it is on an iPhone SE. And as you can see, they can scroll down and get to all of that nicely. And we got a nice little white X up there that we can X out of it. And if I get rid of this now, go back to our regular page. But of course, if you're using a white background, you're not going to see that. And you might need to change the color. To change the color of that X right there, it's very easy. If we go back to our theme options where we put the CSS, General tab, Custom CSS. If you look down at the CSS that they've put, they've actually got a note there for you, color of the closing icon. By default, it's white, FFF. We can change it to any color you want. You can type in a web color. You can just type in black. You can use RGBA, whatever you want. I'm going to make it black with a hex color, which is 000. We'll save the changes. Back to our page. Let's just refresh this page. And hit the button again. And you notice we've now got a black cross up there. So there we have it. There's how to A, create a survey form using a little bit of conditional logic, and B, turn it into a pop-up using some code from Elegant Themes up here. And I'll put this URL down below so that you can go there and copy and paste and do what you need to do. But that is a fantastic feature to have on your site. And like I say, we've demoed it before with other things, pop-up galleries and pop-up contact forms. And somebody was asking about that survey, so there you have it. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them or make a little demo video just like this one. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.